Hey y'all, I want to talk about Immortals of Aveum. This is a game that came out last year during the big rush of a bunch of big games, and when it came out, it was one of those things where some people vibed with the game, some people didn't. Overall, the consensus that was like, it was good and solid, we're checking out, but compared to everything else that had come out, you might want to push this on the back burner, or, don't prioritize as much as these other games, and maybe eventually get to it. Since then, it's now on PS Plus. And I would like to say it's worth checking out. I know that the game seems to kind of be setting up a bigger story that might have taken place over multiple games. I know when it came out, I don't think like it made a whole lot of money. It went on sale kind of fairly quickly, but there was definitely a budget behind it. I mean, they got some actors in this thing. The world is big and lively and colorful, and they definitely want this to be like a big AAA franchise. But it seems like the way it was kind of perceived and everything, and depending on the amount of money it made, seems like it might not happen. But I still think the game's worth checking out because there are issues with it, but it's fun to play. I'm one of those where I like Ghostwire Tokyo, right? So I figured that I might like this sort of game because it's similar where it's first person, but you're using magic powers instead of like weapons and guns and stuff. And the gameplay is fun. I will say sometimes it does feel like in the middle of combat you're slowing down a little bit, where I feel like the character should be moving a lot faster. But there's a lot of variety there. You have different ones, like one's kind of like a sort of a shotgun magic spell, one's from like, a pistol, and then one's like a machine gun. So they do favor weapons, but it's different magic, different colors, and then you'll come across different rooms and crystals and things that you have to hit with the right color to either open something or get through something. And as you go through the main story, you find other ways to unlock traversal that you can't at the beginning of the game. You might be running around and run into this like barrier, and you can't get through the barrier, so you have to play further into the game, figure out how to get through these barriers. Now, the world looks great, as I mentioned before, but I will say that it does feel a little bit empty. You're going through the game, as you're continuing through the main story, there's enemies that do appear, and you're fighting the enemies, and then you're just trying to get to the next point. That's kind of what it is. It's more about you getting from one point to the next, completing the main mission. There are opportunities to go out and explore and like collect things, but there's no real side missions. I'm going through the world to, in between all these battles, it's a nice open world and there's stuff to collect, but there's no real people around. I would go through like vast areas where it's just like towns or villages, and there was like not a single person there. It was just kind of dead, except for these like hub areas. Like there's one hub area where the main group stays held, and there's people around there, but you're not really talking to people all that much. In fact, the other weird part is that the people are quiet. Like as you're going through these towns and cities, there's no like background audio really whatsoever. It's only like the characters that you're supposed to talk to in the main story. But as you're moving around, you see a bunch of people, but it's like kind of silent. And it was kind of strange to experience that after having all these big open world games that are so lively, like a Rebirth or something like that. The way you level up is like using a weird trait sort of system where it's like a circle, and then you can choose like which magic traits you want to kind of level up. There's a forge where you can craft new weapons, and that's also how you can increase like your health bar and your magic. The game is, I've been playing it on kind of like a normal to easy difficulty. The game's been pretty generous with giving me health and helping me out. You use these health crystals to kind of heal yourself, and there's usually just one health crystal is kind of all you need, and it'll heal you all the way. And the game gives me a lot of health crystals, whether it's just like in boxes, or on the ground, or after defeating an enemy. It's all there for me. The dialogue is interesting too. It's a bit cheesy, the dialogue. You're, talking to people. There's a lot of comedic beats. There is a lore built into the world, and it's weird because with worlds that have a lot of lore, there's a lot of things you gather sometimes. You'll have like encyclopedia or codex with like tons of text explaining everything. And for me, I always want to read that stuff, but I usually never get around to it. And this one, it's like the lore is like kind of short and simple and to the point. And so you'll pick up random like notes and things, and it might be a paragraph long. Sometimes they'll talk about a place or an item or something, and then as you get through the game, they'll actually add lore to it. You have all these like characters you talk with, but it's kind of weird because when you're in conversation with the characters, sometimes if they're like with a group of people, there'll be like 3 of them talking, and then they'll like turn around in this weird, awkward sort of way to like talk to you, and other characters are like looking at you also really awkwardly, kind of waiting for the other character to finish talking to you. So that was kind of strange. The way they do the dialogue and they kind of just turn to characters is really odd. But yeah, I don't know. It's just because this game is so... like, it feels like they could have added more to it. It could have used more polish. But it's kind of charming because it is so different than other games I've played before. It is something new and different. And I feel like with it being on PS Plus, it's still worth checking out. It's on multiple platforms. I played on PS5 with the update and it looked pretty good to me. Felt like it ran pretty well. So yeah, if you're looking for like a new single player with something different, at least give it a shot. And you'll know by the first... I'd give it like a good 2 to 3 hours and then figure out if you're really into it or not. Because the first hour, there is a lot of just kind of talking and going through the motions. It doesn't really pick up into the action and combat until like after the first hour, just so you know. So give it a little bit of time, see how you feel about it, check out the vibe, and yeah, I hope people don't miss out on this game because it kind of, you know, got on the down low from last year. It's definitely worth your time checking out.